VigilanteWilliamson here on another episode on this channel. This is another movie review right out the theater, basically. I just saw, my camera's not quite how I want it, but we'll take it. I just saw Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. And it is not a perfect movie, but I actually liked it. I actually enjoyed it. Even teared up. A lot of it was in anger because I felt like it was toward the beginning. We're not gonna get too many spoilers for the first 15 minutes. No spoilers for the first 15 minutes, in fact. But it was like, I thought it was gonna be more exploitive of Chadwick's untimely passing, and it was slightly exploitive. And so I had some anger about that. But this movie, I have to say, there's a lot I have to say. Not necessarily about this movie, but about the community in general. We'll spoil in 15 minutes. We'll spoil in less than 15 minutes. We're already been on a minute and a half. I know some of that's the intro. But about, we'll get to the spoiler. But there's enough meat, non-spoiler, to talk about. And in fact, I mean, the spoiler alert, you've seen this movie a million times before. That's the biggest flaw with this movie. Believe it or not. I saw with Brojolani, that was his take. But man, it was not a triumph, Zax. It was not that woke. This is probably a lukewarm take. The first one was way more woke. First one had way more feminism, despite the fact that the only main characters of this movie essentially are female. There's not a lot of male bashing in this movie. There's a little bit of, there's some racial subtext that kind of angered me as well in this movie. We'll get into, but I gotta say, the community. If this is going to be the movie that you got, this is not the movie you thought it was. This is not going to be the movie to get converts, and that's where my subtext is. Was it? Yeah, Thursday. I'm on the Twitter. And I see a former guest of the show on her Twitter. What's her name? Chrissy Mayer. Made fun of the old mask when she was here. Okay. And it's Thursday afternoon around 3, I believe she said. She goes in this fucking theater and she makes a joke about how packed it is. And I'm thinking, Jesus, bitch. You like, when I had the idea for VigilanteWilliamson way before I did this YouTube thing. Way before. It was supposed to be just a music thing. It was never supposed to be a YouTube thing. A couple years ago, over the summer, I'm watching Nerd Roddick, as I usually did. And there's all sorts of shit going on in the country at the time. We obviously were dealing with lockdowns, racial tension, woke material, culture, everything came at this convergence. People were getting canceled and silenced just for criticizing a game, if you remember. That game being Last of Us 2. I'm just like, whoa. And Gary Beekler from Nerd Roddick, God bless him, he's done a lot for this channel. He goes on air and he says, we need more creators. We need more people who are going to speak out on what's going on, right? We need more people. This wasn't the Woman King Cinch Dildo. I was expecting a Woman King. I did not get it. That's probably why I like the movie, because again, it's formulaic as fuck. We'll get into that though. We'll get into that. And I was inspired. I was already thinking about it anyway. I already had this idea. So you know what? Use the VigilanteWilliamson idea and go and do that, and then you can do the music stuff later. And I did. And part of what sold me was the idea that this is a fight for culture. This is a fight for art. This is a fight for something deeper. And I was also sold on the idea that this community was trying to get hearts and minds. And I'm slowly realizing there's no way that's the case. And there's no shame in it. There's no shame in making $1. I'm trying to make $1. And I'm also starting to realize I'm not the only one who has some critique with the community and critique with some of the direction it's going, because honestly, it's as racially focused as the leftists. That's my thought. It's as let's find something radical, take it out of context, and use that as a framing of a bunch of people as the leftists are. It has a lot of the same traits. It's like we've talked about it, and it started to bother me and wear on me because I thought it was about hearts and minds and upholding culture. It's not. It's about getting clicks, and there's no shame in that. There's no hate for that. I'm pro-capitalist, but it ain't about hearts and minds. So when I saw Old Girl, and there was even people in the comments or whatever talking about how disingenuous her take was, and then I saw just a thumbnail where they had the was it Mahler with the little African scarf thing. I'm just like, oh my goodness, and I just didn't even see it. I didn't even watch FNT. I felt like, oh man, this is not what I signed up for. And what is all that relevant? This is not the movie to launch your anti-woke campaign on. Are there woke elements? Sure. But that's not the focus. This ain't Birds of Prey. This ain't The Woman King. This is, again, to me, less woke and less toxically feminist than the first film. Despite this being a mostly woman cast, there's still some, superwoman type characters. Not Shuri, though. Not Shuri, which we'll get into. Real quick, I have you guys on the screen in front of me. I'm going to move you to the closer screen because reading through a mask, right? Let's see what you guys are saying. And then we'll get into a little bit more. Actually, that's just as bad. Just as bad. Okay, from here, I got something. Let's see what you guys are saying. I got a smiling face from Papa Cotton. Or a laughing emoji, I should say. What else? Oh, it was the triumph. I ain't going that far. This movie's not perfect. We'll get into some real critiques in a second. But I just wanted to give that subtext on the community time why I have a critique on it. Sup Dildo. Everyone, shout out to Zax, the actual superstar. People are in the chat. Everyone's saying what's up. Again, this isn't The Woman King, and that was the big shock. That's why I'll give it a like. I was in the chat room that all said Chrissy was cringe. Yeah, that came off so bad. So bad. Like, oh my God, really? Especially how packed this fucking theater was. Jesus. You come Thursday on at 3:00 and the thing is, it's like, oh God. So cringy. Movements turn to a business. It is what it is. Exactly. No shame. No bashing. I love you guys, but that ain't what I signed up for. And if I'm gonna do a business, I'm gonna do my own business. About to help. If I'm gonna help, actually, I can't even make a joke about my actual boss. But if I'm gonna help motherfuckers get rich, I'm gonna keep doing it for so I can get some money out of it. Shit. What's up, my man? Low spec Linux laptop, aka MPC, because the MPC is just a low spec Linux laptop. Believe it or not. Since your dildo again, just saying what's up. The content of the movie itself doesn't matter when the promotion for it was I shouldn't see it. Was that the promotion? That's a good nice leaf thing to chew on right now. Was that the promotion, or was that some wacky leftist that got taken up by who said something on Twitter, and then that got taken up as a part of the community rallying cry? Because I don't think as woke and as evil as Marvel Disney are, they're evil motherfuckers. That hasn't changed. Was that from them? And correct me, maybe that's not the case. But I thought it was just for some random ass leftists that nobody knows. And then that statement got taken by the community and put everywhere, the idea. And if you don't know what Papa Cotton is referring to, it was some statement that said, and I'm sure most of you do, but for clarification, because we might have some new people. I'm doing a show with my man, Pat Truthner. He sends some people this way, and everybody doesn't know everything because there's a lot of normies, right? So, allegedly, there was somebody who said that white people shouldn't see this movie. They should buy tickets for black people and guard it so white people can't see it. That some bullshit, crazy narrative. I don't think that was the promotion, though. I think that was some, and I could be wrong. Maybe this person had involvement with Marvel Disney. Marvel Disney is a demonic company. They deserve no credit. They deserve no defenders. So I'm not defending those evil demons. I'm just trying to clarify what was said and who said it. And I don't think the people who said that were affiliated with the film. I think it's just something that got caught on Twitter. And when this side of the internet got it, they took it and ran with it, spun it around. I don't think that was part of the promotion. Myself. Now I could be wrong because I remember one thing that was official, Wonder Woman had some official stuff where they went the first Wonder Woman. There were people only they were only paying for women to see it and shit like that. So there was a little bit more to that. So it could have been part of the promotion, but just correct me if I'm wrong, please. Chat. Vigilante, my dude, there's nobody who's going to be spoiled. I still want to give it 15 minutes because again, there might be a few people watching this stream that don't normally watch it. Because like I said, I'm doing a collaboration on Tuesday with my man Pat Truthner on this channel. But we're 5 minutes away. By the time I get to your comments, I'll get into the spoilers. So it's not that big of a deal. Let's see. It was the first time I heard it, and again, I just don't give a fuck about watching Disney trash anyway. And that's the fairest criticism. That's the way to attack this film. Don't attack it on all this. This isn't the woke film you expect. It's also not a good film. We'll get into. I liked it. But my liking it because I liked it more than Brogilante. He just said, man, this is all these movies are the same. I've already seen this movie. You have seen this movie. You have seen it already. It is the Disney formula. It is the Marvel formula. That's the way to critique this movie. Don't critique it on woke and then you sound like some crazy wignut and nobody comes to your channel except the people who speech is only reaching those who already know about it. This movie is not, it was competently done as far as the shots, the filming. The CG is still not great. Not as bad as the first one, but there's some bad scenes. But the score, even the acting and the dialogue. I mean, shit, compare this dialogue to the Nolan exposition dumps we get. I got to give it some credit. Disney ain't woke, it's all performative. They wear a woke suit in the hopes of making money. This is definitely them saying, you know what, we got to make us a little bit of money. They definitely, this is not Birds of Prey. This is not Black Widow. This is not that movie. This is not that movie where it's all about subtext. There's some racial subtext. There is a little blame Whitey in here, a little bit. Even though, ironically enough, if you listen to the podcast, I was talking about some of the racial history. There's a scene here that I'll spoil in a few minutes that if it was historically accurate would actually be implicating black people, believe it or not. But that's neither here nor there. Praying for chicks to see movies. Yeah, paying for chicks to see movies didn't start with Wonder Woman. No, but that was a big thing. That was a big part of their marketing. They were they were definitely more male in official marketing, I should say. Officially marketed. It was definitely more officially marketed with some feminist bullshit. More than this one, but again, I don't know if that person was affiliated with the film. They're mimicking the zeitgeist. Yeah, Disney is worse than oh no, Disney's an evil company. Disney's an evil company. If my co-host was here, he would cry because I'm saying something that's conspiratorial. But look up the 33 Club. Look up speaking of clubs, look at what's happened to members in the Mickey Mouse Club. They got some evil stuff going on at Disney. Really evil company. Really evil. Hell, K2J The Extreme, my favorite gaming channel. It's cool when you show up, man. I've been watching some of your stuff. I don't always get a chance to, but I've been lurking and working. I appreciate the stuff you do. Please check them out if you haven't. Got a sup. Everyone's saying what's up. I got another more minute before we get to 15. I put it in the title first 15, non-spoiler. I want to keep hold to that. I'll talk a little bit more of the film for the next minute, I guess. My thoughts on it. How do I like it? Why do I like it? It does not hit. This movie is not as woke as you think it's going to be. It actually is trying to be a movie. It is on rails. It's using that same Marvel template and Marvel formula. If you have any sense, you'll know how the movie's going to go for the most part 10 minutes in. But I actually enjoyed it, man. I actually thought it was entertaining. It's a long movie, but the story moves. It goes through different beats and goes through different paths. There's a little bit of intrigue. It's ambitious in its scope, so to speak. And they try to make it almost closer to I don't think this is as good of the movie, but a little bit more Winter Soldier-esque, a little bit more espionage-esque. Political intrigue, not woke versus Republican political intrigue, but political intrigue with the different nations of Wakanda and what did they call Atlantis. They use some word that I can't pronounce. So, we're in the spoiler territory. So, spoiler alert: there will be spoilers, but I am going to finish my point, and then we'll slide into the spoilers. Red shoes. I'm lost on the red shoes reference, so my bad. I'm talking about this movie. I didn't. I'm not talking about this movie like I didn't talk about any Phase 4. That's fine. That's fine. I didn't plan on talking about it, but seeing it, I'm like, you know what? It isn't as bad as I was thought it was, but I wouldn't recommend it to any of you. I would not recommend this to any. If you are a normie, if you are a normison, you should go see this movie. You will enjoy it. This movie is good for normies. Anyone who cares about lore, anyone who cares about accuracy to the comics, anyone who cares about an actual film that's not an on-railed bit of cliches, probably is not going to have the most fun with this. It's going to be a little like eye rolling, but there's some cool scenes, cool action scenes, and it's very competently done as far as the story. Very competently done. I felt myself enjoy this a little bit more than Black Adam, but I think Black Adam, especially this crowd, will probably play a little bit better. So to kind of get more spoilers, I mentioned some of the issues. So one of the biggest issues, and I hate to do it to the bro, Tina Huerta, who actually, I don't know, maybe mispronouncing his name. He does a really good job in Namor, acting wise. But buddy, I'm not trying to body shame anyone. I'm a fat guy. I'm trying to get in the gym. I got to get in the gym after this. Trying to get weight off of me. And a lot was made of a movie came out earlier this year that actually I like less than this, but that's because I'm a Batman diehard and that movie pissed me off for different reasons. The Batman, a lot was made about Robert Pattinson's physique, right? Tina Huerta makes Robert Pattinson look like Hulk Hogan, and I swear on everything I love, I'm not exaggerating. This guy's small, and it wouldn't be so noticeable if he didn't have his shirt off the whole movie. He looks so regular. I'm like, damn. Me and my brother were talking about this outside the theater. We were talking about like, damn, you always complain because everybody's all muscle bound and crazy and they don't look real. But then when they try to put a realistic guy, you realize immediately why they have muscle bound guys. I hate to say that. I hate to body shame a guy off rip. But bro, he has too achievable a physique, man. When later in the film, at the end of the film, when Shuri is showing down with him, I don't know if that was why they chose it. Because, sometimes people can complain, even though she has superpowers at that point. People will complain about women beating the shit out of men. I don't know if they got a small guy so it could be more believable fight, but it's a completely believable fight. It is incredibly believable when Shuri is fighting Namor at the end. It is so believable because of his physique. And I'm sorry, bro, because he actually did a cool acting job. Some of the CG with him and his wing foot didn't really go well, but they tried to put the green shorts on him. But then the little beads they had him in didn't really look that expensive either. He was flawed. He's a flawed villain, to say the least, man. To say the least. Yeah, we're going to get into it. Like I mentioned, a lot of my liking is that I expected the Woman King and didn't get it. And I expected a less competent film and I didn't get it. I expected a more toxically feminine film and I didn't get it. And so when I got a competent superhero movie that hit all the notes that all other superhero movies got, I was like, good enough for me. But if it ain't good enough for you, I understand. My brother did not like this film. That's my main issue with the Marvel shit. It's predictable, generic, focus group tested, made by committee, bland corporate product. Their fake wokeness is just an eye roll for me. They downgraded the fake wokeness, man. To me, the first Black Panther does so much diminishing of the actual Black Panther himself. This one does not. This one honored him way more than the first one when he passed on. But this comment is the issue with the film. It isn't because it is so focus grouped. It is so templated. And my liking was because my expectations were low and specific, and I was shocked that they weren't met. And I will say this. The competency. This is a well-shot film. This has some really cool set pieces. It has really cool score. And I'm also, getting back into going to the theater. Seeing it in the theater makes it a lot better. if you have sense, if you see one Marvel movie, you getting fatigue of Marvel movies. If you're getting fatigue of superhero movies, this ain't the film for you. I ain't gonna lie. Neither is Black Adam, to be honest. If you're fatigued of the formula, these are the you've seen this movie before. They showed the preview to Ant-Man 3. I'm not about to see Ant-Man 3. And I don't know if I would see Black Panther 3, even though I'm giving this film a like. I'm giving it a recommendation for normies only. For normies only, man. Every white chick has to pretend he's hot. Who are you talking about? Who, Namor? It's Namor, don't they name? They call him Namor in there. There's a few different pronunciations throughout the film. Namor. He acted cool. He was a cool actor, man. He was cool at times. But bro, when they showed his physique and they showed him he's supposed to be a badass, even shit that they made him do some badass cool shit, it's just like, come on, bro. We don't believe you. You need more people. It's like, we don't believe you. He just looks too small of physique. He's got to work out, man. He's got to work out. He's got to work out. But I'll tell you something else that impressed me, though. I'm bashing this movie despite liking it. That's how all my critiques go. There's always, I'm a tough date. I'll tell you something I liked how they gave a lot of the characters believable, logical motivations. So the movie centrals on the hidden, and I'm going to call them Atlantis. They use a different name that I forgot and cannot pronounce. But basically, the hidden kingdom of Atlantis. It centers on two things. It opens with Chadwick dying. Essentially, he dies off camera. He dies of a mysteriously unnamed disease. Shuri tries to help him by creating another heart-shaped plant synthetically, because if you remember at the end of the first one, they were all burned by Killmonger. And Shuri's trying to help him create a synthetic one. She has this AI that's basically Jarvis, but it's not Jarvis. That's helping her. And they fail, and he passes on. They do this great tribute thing. Got me teared up. I'm not even gonna cap. Teared up a little bit of anger, but because they're about to exploit this man. He was just trying to make a positive image for young brothers to see, and y'all about to exploit him for money. Fuck you, Disney. That was my first. I was mad in the theater, steaming mad. But then I let the movie go, and the movie plays out. And so what it comes down to is, since Black Panther, it goes a year. It does a year skip after his death. Since the Black Panther is dead, since T'Challa is dead, people are trying to take the vibranium from Wakanda. They start off with this United Nations thing, and they catch a bunch of mercenaries who are trying to steal vibranium from Wakanda, and they bring them into the United Nations, because the United Nations is basically just trying to politicize their way to the vibranium, right? And they say, you know what? We're not going to be a part of this shit because y'all keep trying to rob us, basically. Second from that, the governments are still going to try to find vibranium. And so they, from some scientists, they discovered they created a vibranium detector, and they're using that detector to find vibranium, and they come across essentially a kingdom they never knew of. The only parts of it, they only call it part of vibranium, but they get attacked by I'm going to call them Atlantis, because I don't know what else to call them. I forgot the name they used. And they get attacked by Atlantis, and they think it's the Wakandas. So the government, United States government, thinks that this attack was from the Wakandas, even though they were themselves looking for the vibranium, but it's actually from a different government, from the Atlanteans. And the Atlanteans make themselves known to the Wakandans. They let them know what happened. Hey, somebody was trying to get vibranium, and Namor shows up. He just shows up on the shore with Shuri and Angela Bassett. I forgot the queen name. I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to remember all this shit. But they're mourning, and they're talking about the loss of T'Challa, because again, that's a big thing. Namor shows up. I'm zooming through the story. He says, hey, don't say anything about my existence, because his whole kingdom is hidden. He doesn't want anyone to know there's a whole kingdom, and they got access to vibranium too. They've had access. They've been existing for years. He doesn't want them to know. He says, hey, if you can bring me the scientists, we A-okay. Me and you can be cool. Fuck the surface dwellers and all the other shit, but me and you be cool. The Wakandans and Atlanteans, we good. Just find us that scientist, whoever the vibranium detector, however they got it, and we'll be cool. And guess who the scientist is? None other than comic book fan favorite Riri motherfucking Williams, who is a 30-year-old, 19-year-old. That's another one. I'm not trying to disrespect the actress. Apparently she's 25. She does not look 19. She does not look 19 at all. She maybe looked 19 years ago, but not this year. No, she's not look 19. And she's kind of annoying, but they don't overdo it that much with her. And they find her on MIT selling homework to those toxic white men who are too lazy to do their own homework. Not what they said, but there was a little subtext there. Like I said, there's little spots. There's spots where you can find it. And then the Americans give chase because they end up, who was it? The Wakandans. It was Shuri and, what is her name? She's the main general character from I can't pronounce a lot of shit. I know I'm a bigot towards black people, whatever. Fuck you. I'm not a big, I love my people. I just can't remember names and shit like that. So yeah, they come across Riri Williams. Wait, playing pre-recording. What's going on? But yeah, they come across Riri Williams. Americans chase them, and then they encounter the Atlanteans, and the Atlanteans wipe out the Americans, the feds or whatever, and then they take Shuri and Riri Williams, and the general gets blasted with these little water grenades into the water. She doesn't know that Shuri went on her own volition, because they're still trying to kill Riri, who is the scientist that create this vibranium detector. This is a long movie because we're still got a long way to go. Then, and I'm misexplaining stuff, or I'm missing points. I'm doing the best I can, man. It's 3 hours. 3 hours. Galadriel wants that vibranium. Yeah. You know what? Ironically enough, the only pure villain of this, he died of white people virus. No. Talk about the only pure villain in this is a white woman, believe it or not the white man. It ain't the white man's fault. They blame the white woman for this. Because there's a director played by Elaine from Seinfeld. She's like the director of some government group, and the one white guy from the first one's in the film, because that's what, he starts to show up as the government's gotten involved. He's the one that actually told him about Riri Williams. I forgot about that part. But he's trying to cape for them because they saved his life. He's like, hey man, we don't know what happened. Plus, we're the ones who are, wrecking their shit. So we can't really say something. This is a whole government. So he's trying to cape for them. Anyways, the bald general chick, whose name I forgot, who's revealed to be a lesbian, of course, at the end, because black lesbians matter and shit like that. But whoever she goes back to Wakanda, lets them know that the Atlanteans have kidnapped Shuri and Riri, and she loses her generalship for that. Like, how'd you let her get caught and whatever. And so then I forgot, it was a bunch of talking and shit, whatever happened. Eventually we go to Atlantis, and it's not called Atlantis for the millionth time, but whatever. And they show kind of this, wonderful little kingdom under the sea, and it's all dope and shit. And Riri and Shuri are prisoners, but they're like held with respect and shit like that. They give Shuri this like royal robe shit or something. And then her and Namor talk, and they swim around the little kingdom. You see how cool the little kingdom is. And they basically are like, she's like, hey man, I understand you want to protect this kingdom, but I'm not trying to let this girl get killed. You know what I'm saying? She's just a 19-year-old. I'm not trying to let her get killed. Is there any way we can talk this out, walk this shit out? You know what I mean? Just we'll keep her in Wakanda, but we can't let her die. And he's like, listen, man, I'm not trying to let no threads be unturned. You're either with us or you aren't. And being honest, we'll fuck Wakanda up if it comes to that. So you don't really want this smoke, bro. Nothing gets settled in that moment. She goes back to her little prison. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention. The mom, I wish I was better with the names, but the mom, the queen of Wakanda, has gotten Chadwick's love interest from the first one. She's been gone for years. She's been living in Haiti, and the queen's trying to recruit her so she can help find Shuri. And she goes to a different village. She learns the legend of Namor. She learns, that he was I'm sorry. I'm forgetting shit. This is what happens when you smoke weed before and after you watch a movie. Namor, this story, the more I say it sounds convoluted, but Namor tells her origin. He's from he's an old dude. Somehow they got a similar plant to that heart-shaped plant, or it wasn't the same plant, but it was a plant that was in vibranium soil, and his mother took it while pregnant with him. And some shaman said, if you take this, your son will be our king. And so then, they take this weird plant that's similar to the heart-shaped plant, but it's not. And all these people get like water powers and shit. Well, not like water powers, but they get super strength. They can breathe underwater, but they can't really breathe in air except Namor. He's like a hybrid. He can breathe in air and water, even though we find out that water is his strength. If he's out of water too long, he gets weaker. So that's what we find out later. So they got to get his backstory in, because again, 3 hours of movie. And as I talk this out, this movie's not good, man. It's just, I'm so shocked it's not overwhelmingly woke that I'm just, but this movie is just long, convoluted, formulaic garbage, man. The more I talk this out, this does not stand up to scrutiny of logic, man. Anyways, eventually the little agent girl who was the love interest for the first one finds Shuri and escapes. But, in the process, she shoots somebody, and Shuri's trying to save her because she doesn't want the war at this point. She's like, man, you'll start a war if we don't save him. She's like, man, we got to get out of here. So she saves, quote unquote, saves Shuri and Riri, gets them out of there, gets them back to Wakanda, and then they just talk about what happened. They say, hey, Namor's going to try to, he's going to want beef after this, and he's trying to rage war on the surface. So eventually, Namor comes to Wakanda. There's a cool little battle scene. The queen dies, and in the process, Riri doesn't, unfortunately. Unfortunately. I mean, she's not that bad, just not that eventful. And so now they got to figure out what to do about Namor and the Atlanteans. I know I skipped over that. It's funny, the part I'm skipping over is one of the better scenes, the action scenes. Was it? Yep, sounds like a hard pass. Yeah, I can't recommend this to anyone but normies. The colonizer fellow, yep. Riri, she wasn't as Ree. I didn't say I love this movie. I said I liked it. And no, I can't remember none of the characters because the same. I said I like this movie. Let me go up and see some of your comics. I've been rambling for a while. And at the end, they have Shuri becomes the Black Panther. She gets a little trinket from Namor. She uses it to become the Black Panther. Essentially, she uses her little AI to create some synthetic heart-shaped herb. She sees, instead of the ancestors, instead of her brother or her mother who's also dead, she sees Killmonger. This is his cameo, and he talks about the rage that Shuri has, and she has a bunch of rage, and she's angry. Another subtext that I missed is like there's this Shuri's rejection of traditionalism, and she rejects a lot of the spiritual stuff. She's focused on science. That's kind of a subtext of the film, one of the many. And so she doesn't even like a lot of the traditional stuff they do. That's kind of a thing throughout the film. He brings that up and is trying to encourage her to be raged out and just like kill everybody, kill everything, right? Because he's Killmonger, he's the villain. But he's in the ancestral realm or whatever. And she comes back, she says she hadn't seen anybody. She doesn't want to let anyone know that she saw Killmonger instead of anyone else. She was angry that none of her quote unquote ancestors came from her. But then they fight the second battle with the Atlanteans. And basically, she spares Namor life. It gets down to a bunch of shit. I'm trying to wrap up the story as quick as I can so I can get kind of into your comments, and then we'll talk more about the movie. But she gets to the point where they have a fight. Eventually, she gets because they figure out that Namor needs water. Her and Riri. So they do a bunch of stuff to dehydrate him. They put him in this little chamber to try to dehydrate him on one of their ships. And they get into a fight there. Eventually, that ship goes to the desert. But it's not really quite. It's at a beach or something. And him and Shuri start fighting. And eventually, she gets the better of him. She has the ability to kill him. But then she starts seeing Wakanda. And she starts seeing their kingdom and making links. between them and saying, I don't really want to kill this guy because he means a lot to his people. And she's kind of making the link of Namor is there to T'Challa, basically. Because the name they call him, again, can't pronounce. But one of the guys translates, one of the Wakanda said that's the winged serpent god. He's a god to this people, basically. Like, he's not just a king. If we kill him, we're gonna have beef with the Atlanteans forever. Like, if he dies, this is forever beef. You know what I mean? And we're just gonna be dealing with this for the rest of our days, basically. So he's at one point warned her. So she has it, and she spares him. They go back to where another battle is happening. They stop the battle, and all the Wakandans and Atlanteans aren't fighting. So what was solved in this movie? Nothing at all. Nothing. As I talk this movie out, it is not that good. The shock is that it's not a woke fest. The shock is that despite it being mostly a woman cast, it's not overly feministic. Men are allowed to be competent. Women are allowed to fail in this movie. Women are allowed to make mistakes in this movie and try to grow. Even when Shuri becomes Black Panther, it does feel a lot more earned than a lot of people who become Black Panther. But at the end of the day, this comment is the issue with this movie. This comment is where this isn't the movie that the community yells about wokeness and yells that white men are aggrieved and nobody else is. This is not that movie. But this also isn't a movie I can recommend to anyone other than normies. If you're a normie, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to laugh. Well, it's not that many laughs. Another thing they deserve credit for. Not going into the laugh well too much. Riri wasn't annoying. She wasn't great, but she wasn't annoying. Shuri was good. This movie could have been way worse. Could have been way better. Would have been better if Chadwick didn't pass on. We had a better movie. Namor was good, but boy, did he look small. He looked so small. And that did take you out of it a little bit. But all in all, not the best thing, but for modern era, for modern Marvel, this is the best modern Marvel thing that exists outside of something like No Way Home, which technically was a Sony movie. This is better than your Black Widows, better than your Shang-Chi's, better than I didn't see Loki or Winter Soldier, so I don't know. Better than what's the one I did see part of? The WandaVision, even though that started off promising. So from a lot of the projects that Marvel's made since Endgame, this is in the top two. This is in the top two. Does that say much? No. Is this film still a disaster as I talk it out? Yeah. Does a lot happen that just happened? Yeah. Is there any resolution for real? I guess that, the Wakandans and Atlanteans will work together going forward. We'll see. So let's see what you guys have been saying while I've been rambling. Every white chick has to pretend. I said that earlier. No more. Or you did that. Tired of paint by numbers filmmaking. You will not watch. It's not for you. It's not. None of this is making it to Africa. None of this money is making it to Africa. Man. So I don't know how much Wignot is in subtext is in this comment, but I will tell you the thing that makes me angers me about the Black Panther success and about Wakanda is that we see another example of a major corporation who can pool Black resources and better than Black people themselves. And it pisses me off that more people will believe in a fictional creation than Wakanda, like Wakanda, than in ourselves. And it pisses me off. We don't believe in ourselves to the extent that we believe in Wakanda. And it really makes me angry. So, I mean, not to say I get angry at the what's the best way to put it? And the sort of like critique just for, like I said, what kind of pisses me off because it's a fictional thing that people believe in. Black people will believe in more than ourselves and more than reality things. More people will support Wakanda than support the actual Black Lives Matter that I believe Michael Brown, his family created, and they got ignored by society because they weren't associated with George Soros. So stuff like that makes me angry, right? The more people will believe in Wakanda, more people will buy, a Nike Kaepernick shoe and believe in something that some major corporation comes on with than Black people believing in themselves and coming up with our own solutions, which some people do have options and solutions and things they want to do, and those get ignored for this fictional corporate bullshit. But then, in saying that, there's also this awareness that because of a lot of the woke subtext, because of a lot of the woke antagonization, there are individuals who are looking for stuff like this to fail just off the strength. And that bothers me too, because you get all these crazy jokes. It's, Wakanda Forever, and everyone is doing all this dumb shit to make fun of it. It's like, you know what? Fuck you too. You know what I'm saying? Because I know anytime let them criticize a straight white male, everybody's up in arms. It's the worst thing on earth. And it's just like, that's corny. That's just as corny. It's just as corny as the Wakanda Forever, cross the chest for Osiris. That's another thing. The real subtext of this film is the same subtext of Star Wars, believe it or not, and the same subtext of 99% of the films, and that is to believe in magic and to practice magic in one way, shape, form, or fashion. I know that's over your heads. I know every time I say anything like that, people, oh yeah, everything, conspiracy theory and ball it up. But trust me, the subtext of most of these works of fiction is actually the practice of magic and the belief in the gods of old. So that's another can of worms for another day. Let's see what else you guys are saying. I watched A Fistful of Dollars last night, and I'm going to watch A Few More Dollars. Superheroes are getting pretty gay. The superhero thing is dying. I'll check those movies out though. Yeah, Noise Wook and since you did, he died of white people virus. Showed that earlier. I didn't know you had a laptop broken. Hope you got it fixed. Oh, you just bought a new one. Cool. Glad to have you around. Glad you don't want that vibranium. Well, was a white woman who was the villain. He was away from keyboard. No worries. Everyone saluting everyone. Playing pre-recording. Okay, cool. Yeah, I forgot a lot of characters. It's not a perfect movie. Let's see what else you guys are saying. The colonizer fellow. Yeah, he was mentioned as the colonizer. But ironically enough, the scene where they go into that's the scene I want to talk about. There's like a Namor's origin. He sees a bunch of slaves because he's from like some part of Mexico, and they go underwater and then they come above water to bury his mother, and he sees a bunch of slaves and slave owners and he wrecks them. Technically, if they was historically accurate, the slave owners will also be black. But when I bring up shit like that, you guys accuse me of being a reparationist, so I don't know what to say. But that's neither here nor there, because that would have been the Spanish Moors, and they were likely black. Hard pass. I can't. As I talk this out, I'm not going to be seeing this again. But again, not as bad as I thought it was, not as woke as I thought it was. No battle rhinos. They knew better. There were no battle rhinos. There are some battle whales, but those battle whales look better than the battle rhinos. No battle rhinos. Yeah, as I explained it, that's what I felt like. God damn it, what is going on in this? And it's all formulaic as shit. Fake misconceptions, all this shit. It's not a good movie, but it's better than I thought. We used to call that stamped, stoned, and amped. Oh man, that's some other shit. Lol. Yeah, this definitely is a weed and amphetamines, and that's why I tried to just speed through it, because it's a schlock. It's a schlock. It's 3 hours, man. Hell, KMFS. Hell chat. What's up? What's up? Everyone saying what's up? Oh, I'm sure the community will sell something woke yell about. There's woke stuff in it. There's woke stuff in it, but this isn't the woke disaster I expected. Go watch One Piece Red. I'll check it out. Even though I haven't watched any One Piece, man. And I know I'm the worst at the anime stuff. It's so much anime I need to watch. I know. Exactly, Vidge. Yeah, I don't know what I said, but I'm glad you agree. Wakanda Forever, thanks to 2 Jewish guys. Oh, you talking about, that's when I said it pisses me off that Wakanda and some fictional thing can get more cred than there you go. He said it, not Kanye or Kyrie. It was such a dildo. Brian, well, we got too many cans of worms for today. Got to go. All right, we'll probably be getting out of here in a minute because I went through it. Well, actually, black Jews have been confirmed for a while. There's been Ethiopian Jews. There's been people who talk about black Jews. Now, rather not all Americans have lineage to black Jews, I couldn't tell you. There's some research to believe it, and I really need to dually check it out. I know there's a lot of people to believe it, not just people who are black Israelites, but people who have there's some evidence to it, but like there's Ethiopian Jews exist. That's not something anyone made. They've always existed. There's always been darker people of Jewish descent as well. And Lord, I made a Kyrie or Kanye joke. I'm not trying to get in that can of worms. And salute to Kai. Watching One Piece Red might make you want to watch it. Okay, I'll check it out. I'll check it out. All right, now you're leaving. Peace. Okay, we're gonna. Oh, I didn't go that far. I'm not trying to. Some. You know what? Did you guys hear about the Kanye talking about the sacrifices shit recently? That's something I thought about bringing up. That was wild. That was wild. If you haven't heard, and it has nothing to do with this review, but Kanye has this thing talking about his mom being sacrificed and Michael Jordan's son and Bill Cosby's son. It's crazy. Crazy stuff. It's much more inflammatory than the stuff he said about the I'm laughing. Like, yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone. By the way, now that we're on the subject, it kind of made me mad. What was it, Friday? Or Matt brought up the Kyrie thing because he clearly doesn't even know what the fuck happened with the Kyrie thing. And he just, Kyrie, anti-Jewish. All Kyrie did was post a link. He didn't say anything negative about Jewish people. He posted a link to a movie that's on Amazon that's probably a poison pill movie with some disinformation, some real information. He posted the link, and then they tried to take everything from him. And he apologized for it and said, what did he say? Oh, if I hurt anybody, my apologies. Wasn't trying to hurt anybody. I don't believe everything in the video. I don't believe everything in the movie. But I was just, doing research and thought other people would be interested in it. And that been taken out of context is, like I said at the time, very similar to some of the stuff they did to your Orange Man. The way they took his stuff out of context and spun him around and got everyone thinking he's some anti-Semitic dude for literally posting a link on his social media accounts. That's all Kyrie did. He didn't rail out in a bunch of interviews talking about Jewish people or whatever. All he did was post a link. That's it. So it was. I would not consider it equivalent to the stuff Kanye did. But of course, most people don't. Will accept. It's convenient. Sometimes we don't want to accept the mainstream narrative, and then sometimes we do. We pick and choose. We want to accept the mainstream narrative. So that's another can of worms for another day. Overall, Black Panther, I can't recommend it to anybody who's looking for something outside the superhero schlock. If superhero movies are fatiguing you, this is not the one for you. But if you're a normie, if you can't wait to see another Marvel movie, if you're Marvel, you still love Marvel, you might think of this as a return to form. I think for a lot of normies, this is going to come off like a return to what they liked in Marvel in the first place. A lot of normies are going to get what they want and what they've maybe been missing for a few years. So I think normies will like this film. If you got a normie cousin, normie aunt, normie whatever, I would recommend it for a normie in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Not a perfect film, got a lot of flaws. Lots of flaws, as we talked this out. Lots of flaws. But an enjoyable experience, an enjoyable excuse to eat expensive popcorn and hear the cool sound system and watch a movie on the big screen. I don't think this plays as well on the small screen. But it was fun. It was a fun experience, man. He got in trouble for saying the Jews run the media in Hollywood. Yeah. Yeah, but go ahead, Google who does. And well, I have a bone to pick. Those people do not actually believe in the Torah. Those people believe in the gods of old, and the Kemet gods and the Phoenician gods and the Roman gods and the Greek gods. That's why they put their subtext in every damn thing. That's why everything from E.T. E.T. is about magic. It's about conjuring a spirit up. Instead, they use aliens as a way of like making it, I guess, more palatable. or palatable, depending on how you depending on your pronunciation or pronunciation. But yeah, stuff like that. There's all sorts of little spiritual subtext in every film. Star Wars about the light and dark side of witchcraft, aka the Force. There's all sorts, and so that subtext is all throughout this film. Lots of spiritual, Molech shit throughout this whole film. That shit's everywhere in this film. That's the real subtext of a lot of these films, bro. Is for you to adhere to a spiritual practice that's outside of the Abrahamic faith. So when they call those people, it's like, I mean, I'm talking about the most powerful people. You talk about the most powerful people in Hollywood, they do not practice anything of Judaism. They don't. So I know what you're saying because of the lineage they purport to be, but they don't practice Judaism. I used to live in Southfield where you had the Hasidic Jews. They keep the Sabbath. They believe in the Torah. They walk everywhere on Saturday. You know what I mean? You would see them walking around because they don't use any technology on Saturday. I have no issue with them. I got much respect for them. They believe in the Torah. They believe in the Old Testament. They're doing better than a lot of people. They try to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. The powerful people in Hollywood and the powerful people in the world do not adhere to the Torah in any way, shape, or fashion. Just swinging by to hit the like button and passing by. No worries. Appreciate you being here, man. All right, that'll do it. Overall, not as woke as you thought. Not nearly the woke film that I expected. Not this feminist, black, matriarchal feminist film. I mean, like I said, if there is a villain, it would be the white girl who's the director. It would be Elaine. She's like the director of some military organization, and she's trying to get her hands on the vibranium. But outside of that, everyone, Namor's rationale makes sense. The Wakanda's rationale makes sense. There's a lot of competency to be had, even though this is the same formulaic, drawn out garbage that you usually get from these superhero films. So if I had to give it a number, I like this a little bit more than Black Adam, even though Black Adam's a simpler watch. But I'm gonna give it the same number. I gave it a modern 7, a reality 6. I'll do the same. I'll do the same thing. Modern 7 because of how bad movies are now. In reality, it's probably a 6 or a 5. Just like Black Adam's probably a 6 or a 5. Same sort of thing. It's the same superhero movie you usually watch, but it's not the woke nightmare that you thought it was going to be. That's my review for Black Panther. That's all I got to say. I didn't realize you could see part of the screen. Oh, well, that's how it's been. If you like the video, please like the video. If you're so obliged to share and subscribe, please do that. And even if you do none of these things, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Good night. God bless. I'll talk to all you guys later. Peace. Actually, let me play myself out with one of these goofy ass clips. Oh, I forgot about this one.
Hey, you the motherfucker I be doing Stevie Wonder? That shit ain't funny, motherfucker. But you never let me see you do that shit again. I'll fuck you up. Stevie Wonder's a musical genius.